Welcome to my Conquest monthly update session. In this episode, I'm going to be reviewing R9, Release Notes 9, which went into effect on September 10th, 2025. I'm going to demo some of these updates using my sample client scenario that you can see here, John and Jane sample. As a reminder, upper left corner, hamburger icon, we're going to go into support and resources to the knowledge base, and we're going to review what's new in R9, as I mentioned. Here are the table of contents. We've got a couple of new features, some feature enhancements, and assumption changes. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down, beginning with plan notes. This is a really useful new feature. I'm finding I'm using it a lot recently. What it does is it enables advisors on your internal team members, anyone internally who has access to your plan, to easily create, edit, search, and manage plan-specific notes directly within the advisor portal. So access through the side panel on the right-hand side is a dedicated plan notes sections, which I'll show you in a moment. And this feature keeps notes private to you and your team, and it's linked to each financial plan for seamless collaboration and better communication. Let's head over to Conquest, and I'll show you what that looks like. If you navigate on the right-hand side, you'll notice there's a new section here called Plan Notes. If I open it up, you'll see at the top, we can add a note. So for example, maybe I want to put in a note, as I often collaborate with other advisors working on plans, maybe to confirm John's CPP amount. Okay, I can hit create, and there we go. I can add additional details here, such as maybe left default %85 eligibility, but want to confirm the exact amount. So there's an example of a note we can create with the sub box, and we can add additional details inside there. Now, when you add notes here, anyone who logs into the plan can review it. So I think it's a great way for multi-advisor teams to collaborate on a Conquest plan. When you go in, you can simply navigate to the plan notes and view what's there. You can add multiple notes. So for example, maybe we want to review investment statements. And I can create this note, and then I want to review them to confirm risk profile and asset allocation. There we go. So we've got a couple of notes. There is a search bar at the top, you notice here. So if you add a lot of notes, you can just hit the search, and you can search for notes that contain alphabetical search options, etc. So once you create the notes, they're there, as I mentioned. And then notice if you click on the note, there is a little edit button. So I can go back in, and I could add additional details and update it. For example, I wanted to add maybe some additional details there in the header, or I could put them down below. Once it's in there, I can open up, and I can also delete this note. So maybe after confirming the details, we no longer need that note, so we can delete it. So as I mentioned, this is internally. It won't show up on a client PDF report. So when you go up here to review client resources and prepare a report, these internal notes do not show up on the client PDF report, just as an FYI. I also see this useful. I also see this being useful for the sole advisor working on plans themselves. So as you build and develop plans and update them, maybe you'll add notes to remind yourself of something in the future. Maybe at a review meeting, the next review meeting, you want to confirm pension statements, for example, to get updates. So confirm pension details with updated statement. So there's an example how someone can just put a note in there to remind themselves for those review meetings, any updates or any things you need to revisit to stay on top of the planning work. So I really love this feature. It's a welcome addition, I would say, for sure. Let's head back to the notes and we'll take a look at the next item on our list, which is plan assumptions. Revert to details. So we now have the ability to revert back to the original default settings within the plan assumptions. You'll see a screen snapshot here. This is where we have the life expectancy, plan inflation rates, as well as the internal or external account fees section. So there are default settings built within the software. And if you do change them and override them, maybe over time you want to just go back and revert back to the original settings for whatever reason that may be. I'll head over to Conquest and show you what that looks like. So as a reminder, plan assumptions are in here, and these are my default settings. Okay, I did make a change to the external account fees. In my version, I changed it from 1.35% down to 0. But let's head over to the settings and I'll show you how you can change, revert, or override those again. You have to step out to the home page. So you hit exit client list. In the upper right corner, we can go into your advisor settings. So this is where we have your details. And down below, you can scroll down below or just navigate to plan assumptions on the left. Here is a life expectancy. So maybe you want to have as your default setting life expectancy for age 95. And then external account fees, I left it at 0. So just to show you really quickly the connection there. So I'm going to go back into my plan. I changed the life expectancy, but note it still stays at age 90. This would impact any new plan I launched with the new default setting. So just keep that in mind, how that works. Heading back to the settings, I'll just show you really quickly how you can revert. We have a tab here, revert to default. So when I click there, it's going to ask me to confirm and I'll revert. So I'm back to age 90. So any new plans I launch will have this life expectancy. And down below, you see the external account fees went back to 1.35. I have a preference to leave it at 0. That way the asset allocation rates of returns are net of fees. Pros and cons. If I wanted to illustrate tax deductibility of fees, then I might leave something in there, or I might just override it in the plan itself. I can go in here, back to the client overview section, and I can just put that fee. If it's a 1% advisor service fee and it's tax deductible, the software does know this is only deductible on open non-reg accounts. So that could be a reason why you want to have something there as well. All right, let's go back to our notes and we'll move down to the next section. This is in relation to Advisor Portal. I'm using the Canada Life version of Conquest, and so this feature is not applicable to my version of Conquest. So I'm going to bypass it, but for other configurations at other firms, you do have the ability to add a new client. So if I step out for a second back to the home page, this ability to add a new client here is useful to you potentially to launch a new plan and add the clients in. For our Canada Life version, we always use the Canada Life Workspace portal. We create a client profile there or an existing client profile we can launch the plan from, and it pulls everything in. So for my demo today, I'm going to bypass this info. Let's take a look at feature enhancement. So we have a new filter options in the knowledge base search bar. You can see here's a screen snapshot to show you what that looks like. I'm going to go into the knowledge base, support resources knowledge base, and that's right here. So it just gives us the ability to search for a particular item, whether it's in all files, articles, or the release notes where I am here into what's new. So it enables you to sort of filter and funnel down a little bit more accurately, or we could not use these and just do a broad search over everything. But if you know something's in a particular section, particular article or something, or the release notes, you can remind yourself, you can click on there, and you can, for example, go into home buyer's plan, and you can see those release notes, any updates to the home buyer's plan. So it could be very useful to help with that. Okay, let's head back into the release notes, and I'll just go a little further down. Redesign data gathering experience for new plans and client invitations. Again, unfortunately, this is not applicable to my Canada Life version of Conquest, so I'm going to bypass this. But essentially, people who do have access to this configuration, when you use that button to add new client back here, you have the ability to enter data in a different sort of configuration. You'll see here you have the inline navigation, but you'll notice the data fields look a little bit different. Okay, and you can progress through to the next screen. Our Canada Life version, we simply launch a plan from Workspace, and then we come into the plan, and we see all of the tiles, and we enter data accordingly or update according to this section here. Okay, so a slightly different workflow for our Canada Life version, but I still think we're fine. It's not a huge loss for us. So I'm going to move on down here and bypass this info. Again, PDF sharing for client reports. This is not applicable to our Canada Life version. This would be related to client portal. So if you want to download a client PDF report and share it so they can access it through the client portal, that's what this gives you the ability. So after you complete your planning work and you generate a report, you can see the shared reports on the right-hand side. If you navigate to the report section, just above the notes section that I showed you a few moments ago, the three dots here allow you to click on them, and you can then share the plan with your client, and it moves down to the shared reports section down below. And you know when the client logs into their client portal, they can now access that PDF that you generated. For our Canada Life version, we would simply go into the plan, we'd go over to the resources and just scroll down to the report section, and we can always, every time you hit generate report, it time dates and stamps it and saves it within the plan of Conquest. And we can always go back and just click download, and then we can print it off or we can email it a copy to our clients. Let's move on to the next section, which is SAM Insights. Home buyers' withdrawal amount is high. So SAM Insights, they're developing it further, as you can see here, and it's highlighted in yellow. So whenever you see these highlighted sections in the SAM Insights with a little light bulb on the right-hand side, these are things we must action or we must click on to either exit out or update the data, because it won't allow you to confirm the client plan unless you've actioned these yellow highlighted sections. Okay, so very important to note. But with regards to, back to home buyer's plan, the maximum allowable lifetime withdrawal amount is $60,000 from someone's RRSP. And so that just allows the user, the Conquest user, to sort of stay within that framework or those thresholds. And I'll head over to Conquest and give you a little more detail about what that looks like. So if you go to the starting tax value section and you slide down in this section, there's info or fields for home buyer's plan repayment. So this would be an instance where someone has withdrawn from their home buyer's plan and they've taken maybe more than the maximum amount. If you try to enter any amount above $60,000, notice here that it's highlighted in yellow. And then in the Insights section, it's going to update in a second. There it is. It's highlighted in yellow. And so it's just alerting you to consider lowering the withdrawal amount for John. Okay, so we can update the data or we can X out, dismiss it, and put in notes as to why we're dismissing it. So this is important consideration to note. So the software flags that when you manually enter an overcontribution amount, I'm just going to revert back to zero and just show you in this plan. This is a scenario where the clients do not have a lifestyle asset. They don't have a principal residence. And what I'm doing is I'm building in a major expense goal for a residence. You can see 5 years from now. If you go into more detailed data, you can toggle on the principal residence as yes and the first-time home buyer as yes. When you do this, the default is no, actually, when you add it in. So you want to change it to yes. And so by doing that little toggling on to yes, if I want to solve for this goal in the planning tab here, I've got the residence here. I will have, in expert planning mode, a strategy should appear for making a withdrawal under the home buyer's plan. So let me see if I can find it here. There it is. Redeem from RSP using the home buyer's plan. So when I apply that strategy and I look on the right-hand side, notice it went to 60,000. Okay, it went within the limits there. Look, it's got a couple of spousal, so it's taking the 60,000 complete. Let me just see if it's going to work. I might be corrected here. I want to see if it'll let me go above the 60,000. There we go. So here's an interesting thing with the software. Clearly, I've gone above the RSP threshold, okay, for one of the accounts, and it's not flagging it. It's not showing a SAM Insights that I've gone over it. So you as the advisor have to recognize, okay, the maximum amount is 60,000 per individual, husband and wife scenario. I've clearly gone over the maximum and it didn't flag it. So just something to keep in mind as you're working through plans with a goal for a major purchase for a new first-time home, okay? Just thought I'd share that with you. Moving on to LIRA, unlocking enhancements. So unlocking in real life must occur within 60 days of a LIRA RLIF conversion, depending on the jurisdiction. To simplify the process, Conquest will model the unlocking on the same day as the account conversion for jurisdictions that enforce the 60-day rule. Okay. If no destination account exists at the time of unlocking, the unlocking option will still be available under transactions, along with the option to create a new RSP account. Let's take a look at what that looks like in Conquest. So in this scenario, I put in a couple of accounts to model this. I have a defined contribution plan for John. I have an existing RIF account, and I have an existing RSP account for John as well. Down below, you can see for Jane, I gave Jane a LIRA account. So we're going to see how these work in the transactions sections down here. Okay, I can start with John's accounts. I can see his DB or DC plan, and I can model a transaction to unlock that at retirement. You'll notice the 50% unlocking shows up, but I can change this to a lower amount. And I have the option to put it in John's existing RSP account. He also has an existing RIF, so that's showing up. That could go over there as well. Or I can choose to open a brand new RSP and choose that option there. So for jurisdictions that allow this unlocking, whether it's federal or provincial, the Conquest will pick that up. It'll keep you in the right lane and show the allowable limits. Meaning you can't have a jurisdiction that doesn't allow this. Conquest won't allow you to build in that transaction if it's not applicable, which is a good thing. So it keeps you on side, keeps you in your lane. I'm going to delete that and just show you with regards to the LIRA account. Again, this is I'm in Nova Scotia, so it's tracking a Nova Scotia LIRA. There is the 50% unlocking available. It's going to do that at retirement on that date, not 60 days after that date. And again, I have the option of putting it into Jane's RSP account, or I can choose a new RSP account for that money to go into. Okay, so you have some nice flexibilities there. I like this. And we have some options that we can model and show clients what they can do at that time. The last two updates here, as you can see, are provincial tax updates. So for Manitoba, following the 2025 Manitoba provincial budget, it received royal assent, and the 2025 tax brackets and basic personal amount have been updated to align with the newly confirmed amounts. As well as Alberta, the provincial budget received royal assent, and a new 8% provincial tax bracket has been introduced for income up to $60,000 in 2025. So depending on your client's location, Conquest will track that. In my example, my clients are in Nova Scotia. But if I change it to Manitoba or the applicable province, it will follow the provincial rules. So Conquest is always up to date. It's an amazing feature. They do an outstanding job of keeping up to date from tax rules, changes, legislation updates. They're right on top of things. So it's really reassuring as an advisor, knowing that I'm going to be, well supported from that point of view in my illustrations. So that covers my monthly update session for now. Thanks for watching. If you made it till the end, please like this video and put a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Anything else you would like to see, please, I would appreciate any feedback that you are willing to share. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for attending.